These three things destroy attraction in the early stages of dating, and they are way more common than you think. First one is over availability. When you drop everything, rearrange your schedule, and make someone you just met the center of your attention, it signals, I don't have standards or options. And instead of being flattered, it makes them suspicious.
Let's be honest, nobody wants to admit they've done these, but if you've ever felt someone pull away and had no idea why, it's probably one of these three things. And I say this with love. Number one, over availability. You just met this person, you know almost nothing about them, and you're already moving your whole schedule around them. Responding in 30 seconds flat, saying yes to every plan, treating them like they're already your person, before they've done a single thing to deserve that spot. Psychologist Robert Cialdini's research on scarcity principle shows we assign higher value to what's harder to access, not because people are shallow, but because availability signals something. When you're too available too fast, their brain quality registers. Why does this person have so much time for someone they just met? What aren't they telling me? And the worst part, you probably did it because you really like them, which makes it even more painful.
The second is audition energy, acting like you're trying to impress them instead of seeing if they even qualify for your time. You start performing instead of being, and it flips the dynamic instantly and positions you below them. And if they're energetically looking down, they're going to wonder if you're even a cat.
Number two, audition energy. This one's going to sting a little. When you're getting ready for a date and your whole mindset is, how do I impress them? What do I say to make them like me? Am I being interesting enough? You've already lost. Because here's the quiet part. You stop showing up as a person and you start showing up as a candidate. And people can notice the shift. They can't explain it, but something feels off. The vibes are off. The conversation feels a little performative, a little rehearsed, and quite frankly, a little desperate. Research on authenticity consistently shows people are more attracted to someone who's comfortable than someone who's impressive. Comfort reads as confidence. Performing reads as insecure, and you can't fake your way out of that.
And the third is pre-attachment, emotionally investing before there's been any real consistency. When your feelings sprint ahead of the actual connection, you move with anxiety instead of confidence.
Okay, so what she's saying is that, like, let's say you went on 3 dates and you're already really anxious and you don't know if they're going to text you back fast enough, right? And you're not falling in love, you're more like falling in love of the idea of them. And once that happens, you don't make the best judgments. You don't really see things as clearly. And to be honest with you, the fix is really simple, offensively simple. So stay with me, all right? So now what's possible is that what's actually in front of you has to be the person that is consistent and that's showing up. Because attraction doesn't grow when you chase it, it grows more of like when you foster and you water it. Because once you're grounded enough, the right person can't help but notice you.
You know how people always say, like, oh, I should have bought a house, like, in 2008 when I was, like, 12 years old and blah, 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 blah. That's how I'm starting to feel about dating. Like, I should have found my husband when I was, like, 10 before that they were, like, horrible human beings and life was awful. Because dating in your late 20s is, like, honestly the most painful thing. And nobody prepared me for it. First of all, when your frontal lobe develops, you'll no longer accept like the bare minimum, and like you like once you get your confidence up stuff too, like I'm just like no, like I'm not trying to do a hookup, like gross, like respect me, like too many things. There's also a pandemic of like 5'9", 5'8", 5'7" men that are really attractive, and then I look at the height and I'm sorry in advance for this, but I just can't. Sorry, not happening for me. To women who can do that, great for you, good for you. I'm not one of those. And dating's not going well. Like, I got asked on a date this weekend, and I just immediately was like, no. The thought didn't even cross my head. I was like, not happening, not interested. What am I gonna do there? The same thing I always do. Talk, have a good time, realize I only had a good time because I am a good time, and then go home and think, wow, that was a waste of doing my hair and makeup. Never gonna speak to that guy again. What the fuck? Anyways, I'm exhausted. While I'm at it, let me add that there's also a pandemic of men who just like don't take initiative, don't act like they give a fuck, like nonchalant. Like the amount of times a guy on Hinge is like, oh, like we should go get dinner. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And he's like, where should we go? And I'm like, you're the one who just suggested that we get dinner. I think a man should have to plan the first date, especially if he's the one asking me on it. But I have a handful of men on Hinge who are just good being like pen pals, and I'm like, do you think that I really care how your day is going, or like I don't even know you like that? But yeah, men are not planning. They are not taking initiative. They're acting nonchalant, like they don't have a timeline either. And I'm like, yeah, our eggs are getting less and less, but your hair is depleting by the second. All of them are balding. Balding, left, right, left, right. I gotta get off this soapbox.
Okay, I will say her exhaustion is valid. Dating in your late 20s is harder, but not for the reason she's listing. Here's what she's right about. Your standards going up in your late 20s isn't a problem. In fact, you have more defined likes and icks because your frontal lobe actually finishes developing around 25. You're literally become neurologically better at evaluating long-term decisions. So yes, you should want more. That part is developmentally accurate. And when men get fewer dates on dating apps, their motivation diminishes and they get anxious and tend not to plan dates, maybe not take initiative, and I get it, treat things like a pen pal situation. That's legitimate frustration backed by real data. Intentionality on men on apps is genuinely declining, and she's not making that up. Here's where it gets complicated though. The height thing, immediately saying no to a date without a second thought, already deciding to be a waste before she walks in. Don't get me wrong, she's entitled to her preferences and standards. But when you make a deep judgment call based on appearance, a trait that men cannot control, shows lack of openness and, quite frankly, open mindedness. So psychologists call this defensive pessimism, and it's a form of confirmation bias. You expect it to fail, so you emotionally check out before it starts. And here's the cool part. When you walk in already decided it's going nowhere, you're right. And you're right 100% of the time. Not because the guy failed, but because you weren't actually there. Just like she said, she had a good time because she is a good time. Well, I guess it goes both ways. The exhaustion she feels is real, but exhaustion plus rigid filtering plus pre-decided outcomes, that's not how you find a life partner. She's doing some kind of weird dating audit. Late 20s is a hard time to date because you're finally self aware enough to know what you want. But sometimes that self awareness tips into self protection, and you can't build a real connection from behind a wall. The goal isn't lowering your standards or lowering your expectation, it's an open enough nervous system to actually let someone surprise you. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please like, share, and subscribe. We keep it real here. And hey, before you leave, if any of this resonated and you want to actually understand how you love and why you do what you do in relationships, I built something for you. It's called Connected Hearts, a free science backed quiz that reveals your love language, your attachment style, and the brain pattern shaping every relationship in your life. And it takes 5 minutes. It might explain everything. Link in my bio. Go take it right now at lovewincondition.com. And if you're not subscribed yet, you're missing every video like this one. Hit that button, and I'll see you next week.